22 Common Council meeting to order. It is 6 p.m. and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilwoman Ficus.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you for your understanding on the cold of the facility. It is being worked on, so we appreciate your flexibility here. Roll call, Clerk Treasurer Parthune.
Councilman Ficus.
Present.
Councilman Vincent.
Here.
Councilman Galloway.
Here.
Councilman Frankie.
Present.
Councilwoman Cutler.
Present.
Councilwoman West.
Here.
Councilwoman Konechny.
Present.
All present.
Approval of minutes, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes as presented. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Before we move to petitions and comments, I would just like to let the community know, as you can see, the Luminary Award that's here that was sponsored by NIPSCO, the City of Laporte, for local government excellence, and it really goes to our community who believe Laporte's the place to be, an excellent place to live, and that together we're going to compete with the best and do things right. So really a thanks to our residents, those individuals that live in the city, and really believe Laporte is special. So we'll have that up here this evening. Petitions and comments of the citizens. Remind everyone there's a maximum 3 minutes. Mr. Otis will keep that. This is not a question and answer, and no personal attacks either way. And we will go Jody Slaybaugh, number 1, and please state your name and address for the record.
Hello. Jody Slaybaugh, 2402 North State Road 39, Laporte. I don't know where to start. Let's start here. Okay. Hello, Mayor and Council. I'm sorry, but I must be missing something here. Maybe something's changed. Let me explain. Mayor, you've said several times in the last couple of weeks that the ordinance for years, the sidewalks are the responsibility of the homeowner. You said we have to follow the law, follow the ordinance locally here. And basically, like all communities, repairing the sidewalk is the responsibility of the homeowner. I have the audio clip. I'll save you from, you know what you said. I don't need to play it. This is where I'm confused. Federal Judge Robert Miller, when deciding the case Culver House versus the City of Laporte back in 2009, listened to the city's affirmative defense, claiming that homeowners are responsible for sidewalks, and not only did he disagree, he cited Indiana code and legal precedents from court cases in the state of Indiana going back over 120 years. Did the City of Laporte appeal his decision at some time? I know it's not a question and answer, it's just my question. I looked into PACER system and I couldn't find any legal challenges by the city. Secondly, does the city have any plans to follow the stipulation and settlement agreement they entered into in 2013? Priority Zone 2, the largest zone, is due for completion in just 2 weeks, May 1st, 2022. All sidewalks in that zone are required to be ADA compliant come June 1st. I know a lot of people in that zone have messaged me asking for help. Some have sent me pictures, others have sent addresses. I have a map with at least 60 problem areas. The stipulation order requires that I ask the city and give them 30 days to respond before I ask the ACLU to get involved again. So I'm here asking. There's a ton of other requirements in that stipulation order that haven't been met, but I'm thinking maybe the current council and the mayor haven't been informed. Maybe the information wasn't passed down from the previous administration. The court gave the city 9 years to complete Priority 2 zone, and every inquiry I've made in the past has been answered with, we still have time. Well, time's almost up.
And just to clarify, you've not asked me directly. In fact, I have messages where I've said, if you would like to meet, we'd be glad to meet. So I just want to clarify, and you've gone unresponsive.
That is correct. Yeah, I haven't agreed to meet with you.
Thank you.
No. I put
Gone
my.
unresponsive.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Go ahead.
welcome, sure. It was estimated back in 2009, the ADA sidewalk repairs would cost about $6 million. This is just to repair the sidewalks we have. There was a study done by Snyder to put new sidewalks everywhere. That was way, much higher. But just to repair the sidewalks we had was about $6 million. The settlement agreement by the city was entered in 2013, and the city was given until 2030 to complete all the repairs. Simple math shows the city should be budgeting about $350,000 a year for sidewalk repairs instead of the $50,000. By the way, that $50,000 number came from the stipulation order. That's the number that you guys repeat all the time. It actually came from the stipulation order. As an annual requirement, the city must set aside for emergency sidewalk repairs for our handicapped citizens. I'll stop there because you get me talking about sidewalks, I could talk a long time. I've studied the case entirely. I talked to Mr. Falk, the ACLU attorney, just a few days ago. He's going to send me all the rest of the exhibits. He sent me the stipulation orders, the actual court case. He didn't send me the exhibits. I've asked for those. And so it is, it's a little bit concerning that the mayor goes on the radio and he says the responsibility of the sidewalk belongs to the homeowners. This is the same message that the city of Laporte told the people in 2006. The same message they told John Culverhouse with his 14 blind residents who couldn't walk to this, who couldn't get up these steps and couldn't come in here and voice his displeasure. John was a friend of mine. I take up his cause. And so with that, I'll leave. If you guys want the court order, it's here. I'd be more than happy. I made copies for everybody. If you'd all like to read the responsibility, just the section of the responsibility of the sidewalks, would you like to see it, or?
No, we have that.
You have that.
The council might want to see
Okay,
that.
all right. That's all I have.
Sir?
Thank you.
Sir? Yeah.
Questions for Mr. Slaybaugh? Further questions?
Well, maybe the city attorney can give clarification on this, but my understanding was the ADA compliancy was mainly on the ending of sidewalks with the ramps.
Yeah, and we are in a sub,
Hold on, excuse me, Mr. Slaybaugh. Questions?
are you just providing that to her? Okay.
We've got questions. If you want to just provide that, and then we can go ahead with questions.
The city did enter into a settlement agreement and has, as I understand it, continued to comply with the terms of that settlement agreement. Nick Minnick could answer, and he's here tonight, could answer more specifically the specific work that is done. But there is a document that we annually, that Nick has me annually submit to the ACLU as a part of that settlement. I do know that I believe one of the years during COVID, I believe we did not spend all of the amount, but I believe we made that up, or we're working on making that up. So.
Well, we appreciate, first of all, any questions for Mr. Slaybaugh? Thank you. So I'd like to say we appreciate Mr. Slaybaugh jumping on what we've been talking about for over a year and a half, talking about the sidewalks, making sure that despite our ordinance, which our ordinance section 9091 states, allowing sidewalks to become defective, duty of real estate owner to repair. It shall be unlawful for the owner or any real estate in the city to allow the sidewalk on such real estate provided for and used by the general public to become defective, out of repair, and dangerous to the general public. It shall be the duty of any owner of real estate in the city of repair in the city to repair the sidewalk on such real estate whenever such sidewalks shall have become defective, out of repair and dangerous, the general public, any individual in violation of this section is subject to a fine of $250, which obviously Jeff Batchelor, code enforcement, hasn't done anything on this. And I will tell you this, this has been in law, it's what other communities do. And Nick Minnick, I know you might be here on something else, but if you don't mind, because let's show how much we've been sending, and we encourage the ACLU. We welcome them. I think Nick Otis is here. We can have them come and welcome that, absolutely, because I know Mayor Morris, and I think it was Tim Stabos, were really saying they wanted to do sidewalks, and we can even compare during their administration, how much in sidewalks they've done, so we can hold them accountable as well. We look forward to that. So, Nick, do you have information you want to share?
Yeah, let me, I think we've been working quite a bit in the engineering department with the mayor since last fall. We tried to ramp up kind of our sidewalk program. We've had our asset management program for roads, and we've included signs and trees, and we're at that point where we're trying to turn the corner on sidewalks too. So if I know that I had given him an update, and just for reference, I started in 2014. Our ADA coordinator had already been with the city for a little while, but all in all, I have kind of I had information dating back to 16. And just for reference, we are required to spend $50,000 a year. We are far exceeding that. We're also required to spend it in priority areas. One issue we have is that a lot of the funds that we're spending in order to get above and beyond the $50,000 a year are actually state dollars or federal dollars, and then the state's ADA transition plan would supersede our own transition plan. So we have been spending on average $545,000 a year on sidewalk improvements over the last 6 years. So over the last 6 years, we've spent over $3.2 million on sidewalks. These are
Could you
either
repeat that again, since 2020?
since 2016, we've averaged almost $5.5 million on sidewalk projects each year.
And then since 2020, since our administration took over, and again, we applaud Mr. Slaybaugh joining our fight to get more sidewalks
Yeah.
done. How much have we spent since 2020?
Spent since 2020, I mean, it's probably around $700,000 on sidewalks since 2020. So we have a number of sidewalk programs every single year. There's a 50-50 program that we did not carry out last year because we had just so many projects catch up from COVID, all those things. So we have a 50-50 program where the homeowners pay 50% and the city pays 50%. Those are sidewalks where people want more than just ADA deficiencies fixed. So the city is responsible in that settlement to fix ADA deficiencies specifically, and we get a lot of homeowners that say, but I want my whole sidewalk fixed, I want my driveway fixed, I want my service walk, I want all of this fixed, and that's not what our agreed order really calls for. What we need to do is fix ADA deficiencies, which is what we do, and a lot of times homeowners like more work. So we have a 50-50 program in order to kind of move people ahead on the list and probably do a little bit more scope than we would do fixing ADA deficiencies. We use our community crossings paving program to do ramps, so those are not always in priority area 1 or 2, sometimes those are in priority area 3. We have a CDBG program regularly. We'll have one again this year. We did not have one last year. And then in the past, we've had a UEA program and then also an ADA sidewalk program. So we run several programs. We try and run them as concurrently as possible to keep it as efficient as possible and make sure our dollars are going as far as possible. In the past, we've also had federal aid sidewalk programs, which are really nice because we pay 20% and the federal government pays 80%. So the Hanley Safe Routes to School in 2019 is an example of that. So we are doing everything we can to stretch the dollars as much as possible. We're doing everything we can to get as many sidewalks repaired, as many ramps repaired. We've made a dent, but again, even since 2016, spending $3.2 million, we're not where we want to be. Costs just keep skyrocketing. We're looking at sometimes over $300 a square yard for ADA ramps. So these costs are really high, and we will keep chipping away and doing everything we can to make sure all of our sidewalks are accessible. That's our goal. So.
And again, the other part of this, when you sit with 39 mayors across northern Indiana, this is the same issue they're facing. We can go to Valparaiso, Chesterton, and you talk to Mayor Murphy, you talk to the roads, you see Mayor Wood in Mishawaka. How do we fund this? And Crown Point, has all the money in the world, and how do they do it? Their residents pay, or these other areas. So outside of ADA, that's the responsibility, because when the court system put this into play, sidewalks were not part of property tax requirements.
Correct. And so the court order essentially predated every other community's requirement for ADA transition plan. So City of Laporte has had an ADA transition plan longer than most communities have. And a lot of communities struggled when they were required. We were required via the court, and then they became required to essentially keep their federal funds. The biggest challenge was you're required to have an ADA transition plan, but it's a completely unfunded mandate. So there's no annual source of revenue for a community to receive to necessarily do that. So it becomes a challenge of the council to figure out how to pinch and move things around. I think early on the council really believed that a 50-50 program was a great way to do it, because it would kind of get homeowners engaged in the process, but the kind of usually $50,000 set aside per ordinance for that program is separate from the $50,000 set aside for ADA programs. And then again, we're using other funds above and beyond that to do even more work. So we would love to do so much more. We will continue to push and continue to get it absolutely as much done as possible.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Minnick? And I'll tell you what, the other part of that is, and you've heard me say the property tax caps in Indiana is something I supported, continue to support. That reduces our budget by 25%. And like in business, you can reduce expenses of requirements of things to do, but we can't do less sidewalks. We can't do less roads. We have to continue to meet that expectation, and we will do that and continue to make Laporte grow. So thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Further questions? Larry Pinkerton. Again, please state your name and address for the record.
Larry Pinkerton, 1612 L Street, Laporte, Indiana. I see vehicles in town. I am shorter, right? My complaint is that there used to be an ordinance on tires sticking out past the walls on the cars. Started out like this. Now I see cars that their tires are about this far sticking out past the fender walls. And back in the day when we were running around in our 57s and 56 Chevys, they used to stop us and check to make sure that the tires were inside the fire. And all that junk's getting thrown up off the road. Is there still an ordinance on that? There used to be one long time ago.
We'd have to look.
But I don't think that it's right that these tires are sticking way out past the fender walls, especially in the wintertime. I mean, some of them tires, man, I've seen some tires. I can't believe they're that far out, sticking out past the fender walls. So I don't know if there's anything the city can do about that, or there used to be an old ordinance on that back in the day. Some of you probably don't even remember that far back, but I do. So if they could do something about that, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Larry.
All right.
We'll check for you and we'll get in touch with you.
Yeah. If I got a copy of the ordinance, I'll bring it for you.
Robert Alt, Historic Preservation, please state your name and address.
Robert Alt, 1528 Michigan Avenue. Mayor Dermody and City Council of Laporte, my name is Robert Alt, and I'm the current president of the city's Historic Preservation Commission. May is celebrated as Historic Preservation Month by the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. We at the HPC want to recognize all the businesses, homeowners, and who operate and live in historic buildings. It is hard work. Taking care of older homes and architectural buildings is not for the faint of heart. People do it for the love of architecture, history, and beautiful hand craftsmanship of yesteryear. Our goals at the HPC are to promote local designation of significant structures in historic districts, to raise awareness of the importance of our city's architectural legacy, and to respect Laporte's proud past. We at the Commission celebrate Laporte's 3 recognized historic districts, including our charming downtown. We also have 33 locally designated structures, one of them being this City Hall building that tells one of the many stories of the great city of Laporte. The HPC will continue to do our good work of outreach and education with city residents and business partners to preserve our historic sites. Like an old structure, our work is never done, but we are rewarded with a community like Laporte that exemplifies a story of great historic past. Thank you.
Robert, before you leave, I mean, your team has done more in the last year than in the past many years. And one of the things, the coloring book, in every 3rd grade school in the school system, they see Laporte architecture. How many books have gone out?
Via grant, we were able to give 489 books to the entire 3rd grade of the Laporte School Corporation and the Lutheran Church School. And great news, we have sponsorship that we, for 2022-23, will do the same thing. And we will continue to do that with sales and other things that we can do. So that's just one of the great things that we've been able to accomplish so far. So thank you all.
Questions for Mr. Alt?
He works, I can attest that he works, for a volunteer, he works his tail off.
I take it serious. Thank you.
Julie West, would you like to introduce Ginger Welliver? Ginger, come on up. We're excited to see you.
Yes, I'm so glad she's here. She's from the Brickyard Healthcare, formerly known as...
Golden Living Fountain View.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
The mayor and I and Jeff Batchelor went out there last week because it was Nurses Week, and we met with your staff, and we were able to, on behalf of the city, give a proclamation to your organization, and we're able to meet some of the residents at your place, and just had a really nice time. And this week is actually Nursing Home Week.
Nursing Home Week, correct.
Yes, so we were hoping you would come and share some information about your building and your residents and your staff and how much we appreciate everything that all of you guys do for those residents.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. So my name is Ginger Welliver. I live at 101 Miller Street here in Laporte. A little bit about me. I have a nursing degree from Purdue University, and I also have a marketing and business degree with a minor in e-commerce that I've never used from the University of Phoenix. I'm also a certified dementia practitioner through the state of Indiana. I was blessed to be able to have this job after COVID had hit, and COVID had actually hit the director that was in this position, and we all knew her as a good friend, and she had passed. So I had big shoes to fill, and I'm hoping that I'm making her proud. So we have a 50-bed unit in our building, and 47 of those beds are currently filled with dementia patients. What I've done is I've come in and I've kind of restructured our programs that we have on a cognitive and a sensory level of the dementia process. A lot of people have this myth that dementia is from old age, and it is not an old age process, it is a brain injury. Unfortunately, we're starting to see that people with dementia are getting it at an early onset. So we have people in our facility in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that have early onset dementia. So our program that, with the help of my staff, we have revised it, and we do it in group settings, but we also do it on an individual basis. And we do what is called a BIMS test, and that's a cognitive level scoring, where we ask different questions and different memories to see where they're at. And based on what they score, and if they have anywhere, 15 is perfect, anywhere 13 and under is severely compromised. We have a lot of them in 6s and 7s. So we take that and we reconstruct activities that they can do in hopes that with the new dementia medications, Aricept and Namenda, that we can keep their disease from progressing faster. We know that it's something that can't be cured, but we have been able to see through different tests and research and with that medication that we can slow the process of it down. So Brickyard Healthcare is a company out of Indianapolis that has come in and bought our building. Everybody that's lived in Laporte for many years has known Fountain View has struggled with different, good things about it and the bad reputations, and unfortunately nursing homes do get that stigma. Brickyard is on a corporate level more present in our building, and we have a plethora of updates that we're excited about being able to bring to the town. We would love to be a part of your Laporte Proud and have you recognize our facility as a dementia-friendly facility for the community, so that families can come and live in Laporte and not have to worry that if mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, if they develop dementia, that they have to take them further, or maybe they have to move themselves. They can be within minutes of a facility that has structured a program to not only benefit mom or dad or whoever has that, but we also give support and strength and comfort to the families themselves. So with that being said, we have partnered with Bill Elliott, who is an elder law attorney here, excellent, wonderful friend of mine, who, even if they don't have the funding, families that don't have the funding, Bill has done a lot of help on getting Medicaid, getting things switched to them so that mom or dad can have that care that they need, and also Attorney Novak as well. So we partner with them. We also have our own CNA classes that we pay for. So we want to let the community know that the young ones coming up, my next step is to maybe get into the high school and let the high schoolers know that they can come in. We start at 18, and we have raised our pay for them. So we have what we call training nurses aides. They start at $14 an hour. They go through our program that we pay for. They take the CNA certification, and we pay for that as well, and they jump to $17 an hour. Our nurses are making, our LPNs are at, I believe it's 28 an hour, and our RNs start at 34 an hour. And that's just a starting pay. If they have experience, then obviously we go off of experience as well. I am a director who is very active on the floor with my staff, so I'm not a director that I went through all the schooling and now I have this fancy office and I sit there. I mean, I've scrubbed toilets. I have helped do whatever needs to be done. I feel that our geriatric population has been kind of a forgotten population. And working with the Salvation Army about a year ago, I had learned that there were over 300 geriatric families in LaPorte community that struggle and that have healthcare needs, and so we volunteer Meals on Wheels, anything. At another time, I would love to talk to you about a committee I sat on through Portage called Mayor's Senior Advisory Committee. And what we did was we focused on the needs of people in the community at 65 and older that needed different things. So we're excited, and we were very blessed that you guys came into our building. Julie told me to speak from the heart. I wanted to prepare this speech, and today was crazy being back. So I am truly speaking from my heart. It's a facility that I would love for the community to give us a second chance. Come and take a tour with me. You can come for lunch. You can come and see our activities. We have 2 activities directors. And it's just, and these people are beautiful people. So I thank you for your time and invite any of you to come back. We do have codes on the door. I want you to know that we do follow CDC guidelines for COVID. So if you see green, it's a go. Right now we are in yellow. That doesn't mean you can't come in. That's just at your discretion. We're letting you know that we do have probably a COVID case in the building, or have had, and are in an isolation process. But feel free. Julie has business cards of mine that she'll pass out to all of you guys. If you know of anybody in need, even if they're not looking for our facility, I did for years all of Northwest Indiana. I've maintained business relationships, so I will put you in the right direction. So,
Hey, Ginger, I'm telling you, I've known your passion for a lot of years, your love for people, and having parents go through the system. It's very difficult, but what you guys have done and the love and effort that you've made, we're so lucky and fortunate to have you here in our community.
thank you. And we feel blessed with your committee. We had that meeting this morning that with what you guys have done, and even with me seeing how dementia has been with younger population, we see a lot of dementia diagnoses related to drug-induced or things like that. So what you guys have done in Laporte, we are so thankful for, and we think you guys are doing a tremendous job. So thank you, and thank you for your time.
Bert Cook.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Bert Cook, Executive Director of the Laporte Economic Advancement Partnership. So with me today, I have Julie Collier and Mike Fox with Flareon Collins. I think we know that project by name. The Banks is a huge part of the growth of our residential market, obviously happening in Newport Landing. We had some unfortunate developments, as you've probably seen in the paper recently, with some subcontractors not performing up to our expectations or Flareon Collins' expectations. So the mayor and I thought it best to invite them here today to address you all and give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you might have as well. So I'll introduce Julie and Mike Fox.
Welcome.
Thanks, Bert. Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Julie Collier. I've been working on this project since, I think, 2017, and I told Councilor Cutler earlier that I've had 3 children since that began. So you guys have been a great partnership for not only myself, but for the company, and we appreciate you guys continuing to have patience with the process. And obviously this instance is nothing that we would set out to have happen, but things happen, and again, we appreciate your patience as we work through finding a new partner to complete drywall and paint. So Mike knows so much more about it as the head of our construction company. I'm just the silly developer, so I'll let Mike say a few words.
Thank you, Julie. Mayor and Common Council, thanks for having us up this evening. My name is Michael Fox. I'm the president of Flareon Collins Construction. As Julie mentioned, we had a very unfortunate situation with Pro Paint, who was our drywall and painting subcontractor on the site. We have dealt with Pro Paint contractually. They are no longer, they have been defaulted. They're no longer on the project, as many of you know. We are seeking a drywall contractor, so we have entertained several painters and drywallers. We've found a replacement painter, but we had a drywaller in, but they weren't working to our level of proficiency. So we're now back looking again to find somebody else to help us continue to move forward. But it has set us back in terms of our phase 2 deliveries, and so that's a concern for us. It's a concern for the company. It's a concern for the city. At the end of the day, we're not going to do anything that's going to put the project in more jeopardy. So we want to make sure that what we do, that everybody's following laws and following the protocols that are necessary. It's something that was very unfortunate from our perspective, and we're sorry it happened. So I'm here to say I apologize. It happened under my watch. I don't like that. At the end of the day, we've taken the steps to remediate the issue and the action. And we hope that we will not see something like this occur again on the project. So our goal here is to finish the project, make it a great project that everybody here in Laporte can be proud of, and that we as Flareon Collins, the developer owner, can also be proud of. We hold on to almost 100% of our projects long term. So we plan to be here, not just today, but tomorrow, and we hope to do multiple more projects. And Julie's looked at several things already up here. So we need to get this behind us and make it a win for everyone. But again, I'm here to say that sorry it happened, but we've taken the steps necessary to correct that action. So happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
Questions? I think you hear a lot of information, and you get on social media. It doesn't have to be truthful. You hear information about people that are signed up, and can you give an update? How many people versus how many apartments are available, and what's coming?
Sure, yeah. So the whole of Building 1, which is the main building, will be delivered by the end of the month or shortly thereafter. We're 31% leased as of today. So that includes residents in the building and leases signed to move in the future. So from our management company's perspective, it's been a very strong response. Staff on site are very excited about it. They get a lot of foot traffic and online traffic, and people remain very positive about the project. So we're really excited about it. And Laporte, again, residents have been great partners. The city's been a great partner. We're excited to be where we are.
What apartments that are available are filled?
There are still some apartments that are available that are filled. It just depends on when people want to move in and when we have units available.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Further questions?
Could I add, Sunday I took a walk around Clear Lake, and my husband and I noticed multiple residents up there sunning themselves on their porches and really enjoying it, and it was really exciting to see.
Yes.
So thank you.
I'm glad. Thank you for that tidbit. We were just over there, and the pool is getting ready to get delivered here in the next couple of weeks, so I know residents are excited about that too. So, thank you.
Further questions? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Before I move, I guess that takes care of public comment. I would like to recognize, and we talk about the young people, the future, getting new people to run for office. And we've all, on both sides of the aisle, have talked about getting young people, new people to run for office, and they say, hey, why do I want to put my family through that? Anybody can stand behind a computer and put negative that aren't about the issues, but take personal shots, personal attacks. So young people, are saying, why do I want to do this? But I'll tell you what, I've got a new friend here, Ezel, yes, stand up. She took a tour, Collier, her mom, Renee, she took a tour of City Hall, and I just want to say it's great to see her here now on her own, wanted to come back and learn more about government. So we hope we get to see you continually stopping by. So it's great to see you. And then also we have some Boy Scouts, I believe, Girl Scouts in the back. If you want to stand, and do you mind just stating your name and why are you here?
My name is Jack Bianski, and we're here for the city's citizenship merit badge.
Citizenship and Community Merit Badge. So one of the EGLE required merit badges is Citizenship and Community World and Nation. And so it's to introduce them to what is going on. And then when we get back, we'll discuss what we saw today, the public being able to bring their concerns to the committee and have them addressed. And of course, the day-to-day, what has to happen with sidewalks and the housing. So that's what we're here today, is to learn a little bit more about our local government. So I'm the Scoutmaster. My name is Greg Smith.
Welcome. You're always welcome here, so hope we'll see you again.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And now, as I say, we do have a public comment.
Mr. Pinkerton, I looked into the municipal code for the city online, and there's no reference to fenders other than in abandoned vehicles where a fender would be missing. So we don't have any requirements on fenders on vehicles here in the city. So you can trick out your 57 Chevy if you want.
But council members can look at something if they want to work with Larry there. All right, as we do all times, those that have made petitions and comments before us, don't feel the need to stay if you don't. It is definitely okay to go enjoy the rest of your evening if you'd like.
Warm weather.
And the warm weather, yes.
Yeah.
Ginger, thanks again, everybody.
It's blowing up.
Standing committee reports. Council President Frankie.
Don't have a lot to add. Next week is a busy week for the committees, commissions that I'm the liaison to. Sustainability meets 4 p.m. here in council chambers. Redevelopment Commission meets, 4 p.m. Monday, the 23rd. Redevelopment Commission meets the 25th, Wednesday, 5:15 here as well. And the Diversity and Inclusion Committee is back meeting again, and they will meet Thursday, the 26th, 5 p.m. here in council chambers as well.
If we could have you in the public, please take the meeting outside. Councilwoman Ficus.
Park Board will be meeting this Wednesday, 4 PM at the Park office. And then also by unanimous vote, Traffic Commission meetings will now be held the first Tuesday of every month, and they will be at 5 o'clock as opposed to 6 o'clock. We changed it, we made it an hour earlier.
Councilman Vincent.
Nothing to add this evening.
Councilman Galloway.
Police Merit Commission met on the 9th, and it discussed programs for a walkway. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a Veterans Committee. They're discussing about the June 11th on the brick walkway. We have bricks to get repaired, and they'll have like a flyer out and let the mayor know that he has to make a speech, okay? And the Police Merit Commission met on the 10th, and talks on supervisor training school. In October, it'll be promotional school. That's when it'll start. So right now, that's all I've got.
Councilwoman Cutler.
Nothing to report overall, but Councilwoman West and I attended the BID Long-Term Planning Committee meeting, and I'll be reporting to the BID Board on its next Monday meeting, and then follow up with all of that next month.
Councilwoman West.
The Fire Merit Commission will complete the interviews after their June 1st meeting and finalize the employment eligibility list at that time, and their next meeting will be held on June 1st at 6:30 at Station 1 on 18th Street.
Councilwoman Konechny.
The HPC, as President Alt had mentioned this evening, May is National Historic Preservation Month, so they're going to go out with a bang. Normally, the HPC's regularly scheduled meeting would be tomorrow, May 17th. However, due to a lack of quorum, it has been moved to the following week, so the HPC will meet and celebrate on Tuesday, May 24th at 5:30 in Council Chambers. And then Airport Authority, the Airport Authority will meet next on Wednesday, June 15th at 5:15 at the airport.
We will now move to second final reading of an ordinance. Councilwoman Konechny.
Your Honor, I move to read an ordinance for the second time by title only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second discussion. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilwoman Konechny.
An ordinance to vacate Jackson Street from Washington Street to the railroad right-of-way and an alley north of Washington Street and south of the railroad right-of-way and between Jackson Street and Clay Street in the city of Laporte, Indiana.
Do I have a motion to pass?
I make a motion to accept the ordinance as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second discussion. Mr. Cook, if you could just give us a quick brief review of this ordinance.
We're talking about Washington Street?
Correct.
Great. So, yeah, at the last council meeting and previous traffic commission meeting, we've talked about the company out of Pennsylvania, Hearth Fire Holdings, that have purchased everything in that particular area and are planning to demolish some of the buildings and build a proper storage facility there. And so this furthers us down that path, and I know we're excited to move forward and get this moving, get that property, which was once both a fire and police issue for us, get it into productive use, and clean up that area of the city.
Discussion, questions? Mr. Cook, thank you.
You're welcome.
Further discussion from the council?
I do plan to move rapidly on this if it's approved. I think before the end of the month, that'll close if it's approved tonight.
And police and fire are smiling from ear to ear with all the issues that have been there, so we're excited.
Reducing their jobs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Further questions? Hearing none, I do have a motion and a second. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Councilman Frankie.
Your Honor, I move to read an ordinance by title for the second time only with approval pending two amendments, which I'll state after I read the title.
Second.
So I do have a motion and a second. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilman Frankie.
An ordinance establishing a parking limit for large vehicles. end of title. And then the two amendments that are needed prior to the approval going through would be the removal of, under the whereas section where it says to our parking, as that is not applicable towards it. And then in section 1, changing parking services director to code enforcement.
Do I have a motion to approve the
Amendment.
both at the same
Yes.
time?
Yep.
Both amendments?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion on those amendments.
I think the ordinance that we modeled from a different community had parking enforcement director, and we just don't have that, so it's code enforcement.
And it's
Further
not,
discussion?
and it's not 2 hour, it's from 7 PM to 7 AM, so the 2 hour can come out of there.
And I do believe there was a question from Councilwoman Cutler last time about dumpsters. And got the answer from Mr. Minnick, if there's a dumpster on the right-of-way, you do need a permit. If it's not on the right-of-way, you don't need a permit, but if you're, a lot of times there's going to be a building permit that would probably be pulled along with that, so.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion on the amendments? Hearing none. All those in favor to approve the amendments, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The amendments pass 7-0. Do I now have a motion to approve the amended ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be too hard to enforce, even with code enforcement. Code enforcement, what, starts 8:30 in the morning? People can be out there just before that. You got a lot of lawn maintenance people that have small trailers. Maybe they'll be parking out front to leave. Say a Davy Tree's got a trailer hooked up, maybe NIPSCO's got a pull trailer hooked up, maybe they're on call or doing something.
I mean, I think certainly it's hard to enforce, and it's not something that, people will be actively patrolling, but what this does is it gives the city some authority when it does become an issue, which we've seen recently. So whether it's safety concerns for fire trucks or, a larger scale in the small business where there's multiple trailers consuming all of the on-street parking, potentially blocking views around corners, things like that. Now there's action that can be taken, and that's the purpose of this.
I just think a few people putting the gripe in is gonna stick it to the whole city. That's just my opinion.
Further discussion? Further discussion by the author?
No.
Just to Roger's point, I can appreciate where you're coming from, but when there's a nuisance and no tool or mechanism to address that, that's where this originally came from. And it's been broad on purpose to cover and not single out any one entity, business, or citizen. So, yeah, I agree, it'll be hard to enforce, but when it becomes a nuisance or it becomes a repeated issue, again, the city code enforcement or subsequently the police department potentially has at least a tool in their toolbox to combat it or at least address it. But I appreciate your sentiments.
Further comments? Anybody from the public that would like to speak on this matter? Hearing none? All those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-1. Councilwoman Knežny.
Your Honor, I move to introduce an ordinance read for the first time in its entirety.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilwoman Knežny.
Additional appropriation for ARP Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, Fund Number 2401. Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was appropriated in the annual budget. Now, therefore, Section Number 1, be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Laporte, Laporte County, Indiana, that for expenses for the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the fund named and for the purposes specified, subject to the laws governing the same. ARP Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, then followed by the amount requested, and subsequently the amount approved. Fund number 2041, fire salaries. Amount requested, $414,500. Amount approved, $414,500. Fire FICA Medicare, $6,500. Amount requested, amount approved, $6,500. Police salaries, $398,500. Amount approved, $398,500. Police FICA Medicare, amount requested, $6,000. Amount approved, $6,000. Police Emergency Response Team, amount requested, $100,000. Amount approved, $100,000. Park and Recreation Winterfest Ice Rink, amount requested, $58,020. Amount approved, $58,020. Clear Lake Loop Design, amount requested, $370,000. Amount approved, $370,000. Total amount requested, $1,353,520. Amount approved, $1,353,520.
Discussion?
Ice rink, 58,000.
Was that for this previous winter, or is that?
This was the previous, yes.
So the park department keep the income it generated, or how did that work?
They are not, no.
One of the appropriate uses for ARP funds is tourism, and that does fall into one of the legal uses for ARP funds.
So we pay 58,000 for 1 year for ice rink?
For an ice rink.
Woo. Okay.
Further questions?
No.
Please.
I think we should look at building our own.
Well, when you look at the items out there and what other communities throughout the nation that are doing this pay, this was, and Mr. Schreiber's not here, but it was a deal. And it's something that we'll look at in the future if you want to continue, if you want to support from a park perspective, or you don't. So, but the goal is also, I know the engineering team is looking at potentially something permanent. This was a test. We had sponsorships as well to see how the community, if they would support it or not. And I think overall, there was good support. And as we develop our downtown, become more walkable, this is a potential item that you see other communities do and might want to consider as the plan downtown develops.
And I think we would have had more, oh, sorry.
Nope, I'll go after you.
I think it would have been better attended to if the weather would have cooperated. We kind of had some issues with that, I think, like at the very beginning and things, so the first year was kind of tough for it.
Yeah, you're right. And, you know, with me living across from the ice rink, I really enjoyed, there's a lot of people that came down there and had a good time. Some companies brought their employees down and had a night and went to dinner, and other groups were there. So, I mean, I know that's a lot of money, but hopefully we can figure something out so we can do it again next year.
Well, the original cost was 90 to 120. So I think Mr. Schreiber did a great job in the team and negotiated. But this was a test, and ARP funds were used to try to see. We hear consistently, provide more for our community to do. Ice rink, ice rink, ice rink, ice rink. You know, when we look at the YMCA or the future of a facility, a lot of people are looking at, do we want to have something in the winter? So this is going to give us a play to understand, do we want to continue or not?
I think with the temperature in here, we could have an ice rink right here.
Oh, that's right. And that will also include some electrical upgrades that needed to happen as a part of that downtown. So further discussion.
There's a public hearing on that.
Yes, we will now open it up to public hearing. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak on this matter? Anybody from the public? And I'd also like to thank Charity as one of our big sponsors, Hotspot Cafe, and I think you enjoyed having the ice rink downtown to draw in community members.
We gave our sponsorship out and opened it up to the public and let the public come and enjoy it. So that was a nice event. I wish more people would have showed up to support it, but it was good to have a hallmark moment, if you will.
And we appreciate the support that you gave people that may not have paid to skate, and also the Healthcare Foundation to make sure lower income kids had a chance to skate as well.
And it was cashless.
And it was cashless. So a combination of a good test there. So further discussion?
Mayor, just proof of publication, April 23rd, 2022. This was published in the Laporte County Herald Dispatch.
And I will formally close the public hearing. Further discussion from council? All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
What?
This is ordinance.
This is an ordinance.
Oh, geez, oh, Pete, I'm
Has to bring
sorry,
it
I
back next time.
apologize.
Come back, right.
We will move this to the next meeting, so do we need to change that out? Reject the
Well, there, it can be voted on. I mean, just,
So we
there's,
vote on tonight?
yeah. They'll vote next meeting.
Making sure you're paying attention.
You're just freezing cold.
It is cold.
It's cold.
Thank you. Councilwoman Ficus.
Your Honor, I move to introduce an ordinance read for the first time in its entirety.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to introduce an ordinance about snow emergency, which again,
Yeah.
I think just needs to be
Fitting.
appointed here for the city. All those in, for discussion? All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilwoman Ficus.
An ordinance establishing an automatic snow emergency declaration. Whereas the Traffic Commission, after due consideration, has recommended to the Common Council an automatic snow emergency declaration that shall take effect when the city receives 2 or more inches of snow in less than a 24-hour period. Now therefore be it, and it is hereby ordained by the Common Council of the City of Laporte, Indiana, that Section 1A, the mayor, or in his absence, the superintendent of the street department, shall cause each declaration made pursuant to this article to be publicly announced by means of radio broadcasts or telecasts from stations within the normal operating range covering the city. He may cause such declaration to be further announced in newspapers of general circulation when feasible. Each announcement shall describe the action taken by the mayor or the superintendent, including the time it became or will become effective, and shall specify the streets or areas affected, if the streets or areas shall be deemed by the mayor or superintendent to be less than all of the snow emergency routes designated in this article. The declaration shall not go into effect until at least 4 hours after it has been announced by means of a broadcast or a telecast between the hours of 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. or following an announcement in a newspaper of general circulation. B, an automatic snow emergency declaration shall take effect when the city receives 2 or more inches of snow in less than a 24-hour period. An automatic snow emergency under this section shall automatically terminate 24 hours after snowfall stops unless the declaration is extended pursuant to Section A. C, the mayor or superintendent shall make or cause to be made a record of each time and date when any declaration is announced to the public in accordance with this section. Section 2, this ordinance shall be in full force and effective upon its passage, approval by the mayor, and publication as required by law. End of ordinance.
Discussion?
I assume by broadcast or telecast, social media would
Correct.
qualify that. This is just pulled from the 1980s. And then I think it'd also be helpful if it could, and I assume it would be posted on the website as well for people that aren't on social media.
You want to amend that to add that? I mean, you wouldn't do it tonight, but for the next meeting?
Yeah, I
Amended
mean,
how?
just to include that it'll be posted on the city's website, just to cover the people that aren't on social media.
Further discussion?
At Traffic Commission, this one kind of goes with our next one that we have coming up, and Councilwoman Konechny at our Traffic Commission meeting recommended that, like, we get a committee together then to look at the streets and everything, so they were formed. It was Sarah Ford, Jeff Batchelor, and Mike Fraze. They got together and kind of helped get this going for everybody.
Any comments from the public? Hearing none, further comments from council? Hearing none, we'll now move this to the first meeting in June.
You don't want to vote on it tonight, Mayor?
It's cold, don't. June 6th. Geez, can you believe we're talking about June 6th? Councilman Vincent.
Honorable Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to introduce an ordinance read in its entirety.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilman Vincent.
An ordinance establishing prohibited parking. Whereas the Traffic Commission, after due consideration, has recommended to the Common Council that parking should be prohibited on snow route emergencies on city streets. Now therefore be it, and it is hereby ordained by the Common Council of the City of Laporte, Indiana, that Section 1, for a 24-hour period on even numbered days of the month, parking shall be permitted on such city streets identified below only on that side of the street which corresponds to even numbered property addresses. For a 24-hour period, on odd-numbered days of the month, parking shall be permitted on such city streets identified below only on the side of the street which corresponds to the odd-numbered property addresses. Adams Street, both sides, between Washington Street and State Street. Adams Street, east side, between State Street and Lincoln Way. Adams Street, west side, the portion south of State Street, between the alley and State Street. Adams Street, both sides, between Lincoln Way and Rose Street. Chicago Street, both sides, between Washington Street and First Street. Clay Street, both sides, between Washington Street and Walker Street. Detroit Street, both sides, between Walker Street and Washington Street. Indiana Avenue, both sides, between Washington Street and Osborne Street. Jackson Street, both sides, between Washington Street and Walker Street. Jefferson Street, south side, between Tyler Street and First Street. Linwood Avenue, both sides, between Washington Street and Noble Street. Madison Street, both sides, between Washington Street and First Street. Michigan Avenue, both sides, between Washington Street and Osborne Street. Monroe Street, both sides, between Washington Street and Walker Street. Perry Street, both sides, between Washington Street and Harrison Street. Rose Street, east side, between East Jefferson Avenue and Walker Street. Tipton Street, both sides, between Washington Street and Rose Street. Tyler Street, both sides, between Washington Street and First Street. Section 2, the ordinance shall remain in full force and effect upon its passage, approval by the mayor, and publication as required by law. End of ordinance.
Please repeat.
Say street one more time.
No thanks. Discussion.
Will there be signage added to help clarify this to residents and people parking in those areas?
Good idea.
Did this come out of traffic?
Yes,
I think
and I do believe there was talk about deeper in the season, this would go out in the water bill as well, so probably fall, so it's a refresher before hopefully the snow falls.
Any further comments from Traffic Commission members? Just for clarity, this actually does,
What it does is it opens up the roadways for first responders and then also to snow removal vehicles so they can access both sides of the street, so all citizens will have free and open access.
And just, yeah, trying to get something actually in writing so that everybody understands what's going on. Because sometimes people don't know, and this puts it in writing, yeah.
And I
Gee,
think-
if we could, Chief Snyder, he
I think
explains
street
it better than
department will
anyone.
like cleaning each side of the street, even during the summer.
And you'll also notice one thing.
State your name and.
Andy Snyder, Fire Chief. It also will eliminate the 1 to 6 parking downtown. That's one of the things that the police had indicated that they were having a lot of trouble with enforcement. If it's spelled out with odd numbers, odd days of the month, even numbers, that will eliminate that 1 to 6 parking as to when that actually is starting and stopping. They've had a lot of issue with that.
Questions for Chief Snyder?
You had said even in the summer this will help, but it does say it's for snow route emergencies. Is it
But I think it's
only
year-round,
during a
right?
snow
It was
emergency?
intended to be year-round, yes. I think that may have gotten mixed with the two ordinances.
So we'll look at that and have an answer for you by next meeting. But yeah, this was supposed to be year-round.
Because street sweepers can't get to
Right.
both sides.
Yeah,
because of
that was the intention.
It doesn't limit it to a time of year.
The name might be misleading.
Yeah, I think
The
that,
name is misleading,
you know, I
right.
think where that might have gotten communicated at too is, as was mentioned, the committee that was put together was to focus on the snow emergency routes, but they also focused on this and delivered this back to the commission. So that might have gotten mixed up there between the two ordinances, but we could talk to them and make sure.
It only mentions that in one spot, if I'm reading that correctly.
And whereas.
Yeah. I'll correct that.
Further questions? Would anybody from the public like to speak on this? Hearing none, we'll move this to June 6th. Councilman Frankie.
Your Honor, I move to introduce a resolution read for its entirety for the first time.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilman President Frankie.
A resolution approving use of a tax abatement on real property taxes created by the purchase of industrial zone property. Whereas Tubecraft USA Real Estate LLC, herein Tubecraft, has requested the Common Council of the City of Laporte approval to use a tax abatement on real property taxes created by the construction of a new building at the Eastgate Industrial Park, Laporte, Indiana 46350. And whereas it is in the public interest that the City of Laporte avail itself of the Economic Revitalization Area Statement of Benefits provided by Indiana Code Section 6-1.1-12.1-4.5 to stimulate economic growth within the community. And whereas on the date of approval, 2022, Tubecraft filed, I guess that's not the date of approval, it's just blank date. We'll fill that in. Tubecraft filed with the city planner as required an application for consideration for a statement of benefits, and whereas Tubecraft has filed an economic revitalization area statement of benefits for real property tax deduction for its operation within the city of Laporte. And whereas Tubecraft agrees to comply with the conditions set forth in resolution number 90-2, section 7, and whereas Tubecraft intends to purchase 4 acres of industrialized zone property in the Eastgate Industrial Park and will build a new 19,500 square foot industrial facility. This new construction will require $2,200,000 capital investment and will create 15 new jobs. And whereas the city planner has prepared a report concerning such deductions. Now, therefore, be resolved by the Common Council of the City of Laporte as follows. Number 1, that the estimate of up to 15 for the number of jobs to be created can be reasonably expected to result from the proposed real property improvements. Number 2, that the estimate of $25 per hour, which is approximately $50,000 for annual salaries of the new jobs to be created, can reasonably be expected to result from building the proposed described new 19,500 square foot industrial facility. Number 3, real property tax abatement on a 10-year term utilizing a custom abatement schedule detailed on Addendum A. End of resolution.
Comments, discussion. Bert Cook, would you like to give a little brief?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Bert Cook again. So the resolution in front of you is for tax abatement on a new company. The company, as you can see, is called Tubecraft. It's an Indian company. Their principal is out of Arizona. We've been working with them since September of 2021. They intend to purchase the remaining 4 acres in the Eastgate Industrial Park. That's the industrial park off of Fail Road, south of Lincoln Way. If we move forward with this resolution, they'd build a new 19,500 square foot industrial building. It's a $2.2 million capital investment. I know they intend to use James Schaffner, general contractor, to build that building. Would create 15 new jobs, $25 an hour average wage. I did think one of the things the company mentioned in our discussions was that they typically employ people that start with them on the production side, and those people move up throughout the company and fill other jobs, which I think is a terrific process for both the company and for those individuals that are employed. At the rear, or at the back of your resolution, you'll see an abatement schedule that I provided for you. So I did want to mention, as it was read, we are suggesting we use a custom abatement schedule. So the first column that you're looking at is a traditional real property tax abatement schedule that would net the company about a 49.5% average savings, or in this case, about $228,000. We are recommending the schedule that's highlighted in gray, which is a custom schedule. It saves them about 55.5% of their real property tax liability. So there was a little bit of a timing issue with when they intended to purchase the property, and the redevelopment commission was going to participate in this deal. That wasn't possible because of the timing, and so we just reflected the potential investment from the redevelopment commission in their savings schedule. So it nets them about $256,000 in total savings, so about another $28,000 to the company. That will help offset some costs that they're experiencing, and the estimates that we've given, their annual real property tax liability is about $46,000 a year. And those are all those numbers I gave you are just estimates. At this point, there's a lot of, as you know, a lot of variation that goes into the assessment process. The principal of the company, I said, lives in Arizona. I had thought we had worked out a schedule to allow him to attend tonight. It didn't quite work out, but I would like to bring him to a future meeting to introduce him to you as on the council. I know he would appreciate that as well. And I am happy to answer any questions that you might have on the project.
Questions for Mr. Cook?
May 3rd on that application.
Was when it was filed?
Yeah.
Yeah, so to Councilman Frankie's question, the third whereas, it should say May 3rd, 2022 is when he filed his statement of benefits.
Are you able to disclose what tube craft manufacturers, makes, services, provides?
Sure. I will read it so I make sure I get it completely correct. They craft steel tubes for the automotive, engineering, ag machinery, food processing industries, and energy sectors. Their core business is to manufacture DOM, which is drawn over mandrel and hydraulic tubes, and later on tubular components for automotive and aerospace industries.
Can you please explain what they do?
Yes.
They cleared up so
I got the
much.
gist, but thank you.
So they steel tubes, as you
Got
can
it, got
can
it.
kind of imagine.
Thank you. You lost me at hydraulic.
Right. They do have a package with the Indiana Economic Development Corporation as well, so they are holding approval of that until you all make a decision on if you intend to move forward. As with any deal that the state is participating in, they look for local support in the form of an incentive package before the state offers any kind of subsequent incentive as well. So if you choose to move forward with this, they would in turn offer edge credits to the company based on the job creation that they've put forth.
I know you said the principal is in Arizona. Is this the first facility they'll have in the States?
This is the first facility they'll have in the Midwest. Yeah.
Further questions for Mr. Cook?
Will they manufacture here, or is this a?
They will manufacture here, correct. Yep. It is really nice to see that industrial park filled and effectively built out. That park's has been slowly growing over the years, so it's nice to put the last piece of property into use.
Further questions? Thank you, Mr. Cook. Do I have a motion to approve?
Honorable Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion from council, and that's in the range of the good paying jobs we want here in the city of Laporte. I assume that's plus benefits?
Plus benefits, correct.
Comments from the public? Hearing none. Any last comments from council? Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Motion to
Before I
adjourn.
allow...
Motion to adjourn.
I would like to thank Clerk Treasurer Parthun. We've been through this property tax debacle, and we had some hiccups here in the last couple of weeks, but she worked through it, worked with the county, worked with the state, and we were able to get clarification and adjustments back to our net assessed valuation, so we're excited about that. But great work, just another example of the great work the Clerk Treasurer's Office has done, so I want to say thank you.
Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you.
Courtney.
Thank you.
With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.